Hi, and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Jonathan Calixto, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, we speak with the executive director of Day One to learn about how they are partnering with young people to end dating abuse and gender-based violence. Then we speak with a professor of economics to learn more about how the potential increase in tariffs could affect us. After that, the program director of East Concourse Older Adult Center for BronxWorks speaks on how they help seniors engage with the community while combating isolation and loneliness. And finally, the senior director of Path to Success at Rising Ground speaks on their relationship abuse prevention program. So stay tuned, all this and much more is headed your way because we're now officially open. Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Calixto, and today is Tuesday, February 18th. You are now watching Open, a program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. Day One initiated its services at a time when the term dating abuse was barely in use. Launched in 2003 as the New York office of Break the Cycle, the organization began offering legal assistance to young survivors and co-educational preventative education in New York City classrooms. Here to tell us more about their work is the executive director of Day One, Anne Patterson. Thank you for joining us, Anne.
Jonathan, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited, obviously, to dive deep a little bit more into this conversation. But let's start off with telling me a little bit more about Day One and its mission.
Happily. At Day One, we were the only organization of our kind in all of New York City, in fact, all of New York State, and rare across the country. We are specifically and singularly devoted to using the entirety of our resources to engage with young New Yorkers, specifically adolescents and young adults, to engage them in conversation about how we build healthy, peaceful, equitable relationships, as well as connecting with people who are in relationships now where they are being harmed by their partner. We are equally invested in prevention as well as healing and support.
Yeah, with obviously that demographic that you were mentioning, what does that age range kind of look like, if you could just expand on that a little bit more?
Absolutely. I think that when we explicitly invest in engaging New Yorkers who are under 24, we do so because those are the times when we're first experimenting with dating and other sort of romantic relationships. And we think it's really important that we pull out the wisdom that inherently lives in young people, as well as sort of complementing that wisdom with our own sort of knowledge, education that we've grown, that we've accrued as adults. So the young people are really equipped to enter into healthy relationships, but like with all of us, they need care, they need support, they need knowledge and education to just amplify what they already know is right.
Yeah, when you talk about that support and knowledge too, I love seeing that there are 4 different categories that you do work with these young people, from community education, supportive services, legal advocacy, and even leadership development.
Yeah.
What are some of those core programs that you kind of work with them in?
Well, you know, we at Day One are boldly aspirational. We believe that we have to end gender-based violence, we have to take a really multifaceted approach to engaging young people. And all of the programming you spoke about, our preventive education that we do in schools, middle schools, and high schools, and youth-facing community settings in all 5 boroughs of New York City, as well as direct therapeutic work with young survivors, legal representation for young survivors in family court, as well as really naming that there are strong leadership skills that reside in all young people. And it's really young people who are going to be essential in striving to end gender-based violence by using their voice in activist and advocacy contexts.
Yeah, some of those programs too include the Survivor Network and leadership development initiatives. Can you dive deep a little bit more into especially the Survivor Network? How does that work? How are they a part of that as well?
So we know that all of our programming at Day One is stronger is more impactful and in many ways far more legitimate if it's fully informed by the voices of young survivors. So we convene a group of young survivors who have accessed our programming or some who haven't accessed our program. And we, as we're building programming, as we are evolving programming, that they are an influential voice in how we do that. Because we don't want to build programming that doesn't feel to be responsive to their needs, their wants in the moment.
Yeah. When you also talk about these programs, I was reading into a little bit more, and you have this youth advisory board.
Yes.
How is that obviously an essential part of them being a part of this initiative, leadership skills, but also getting paid while they're doing that
Absolutely.
as
And that what feels really important. I think so many youth serving organizations desperately want all of their programming to be informed by a diverse chorus of young voices, but don't necessarily have the capacity to compensate those voices. And we want to do that. And all youth serving organizations want to do that as well. But we recognize that what you're contributing to us has real value, and we want to compensate you for the value that you're lending. So we bring our youth advisory board together every month, and they are really essential also to our preventive outreach as well. You will see them at any day one event. They'll be at a tabling event. They'll be speaking on their experiences, but they're a real integral and essential part of the day one community.
Yeah, when you talk about experiences as well, obviously you have served, there's over 16,000 young people. Any stories that you can share with us, obviously, about how it's impacted you or how you've even seen them kind of benefit from this program?
Absolutely. I think that it's some of the most eye-opening and powerful experiences that I've been able to witness is when you're in a classroom and one of our community educators, or you're in a community-based setting and you're listening to one of our community educators really engage in dialogue about how we go about building healthy, consent-driven relationships. And young people, you'll see a shift. You'll see a widening of the eyes. You'll see a sort of a stilling of the body. And you'll see this physical change as they're able to really relate to the words and the wisdom that's being shared by the community educators. And then when that educational training is over, they commonly will approach the community educator and talk about how this has shifted the way that they understand a relationship that they're currently in, and that this has given them the tools that they need to navigate that relationship. It's really powerful to sort of feel and watch that physical shift.
Yeah, and I would encourage viewers to even go on the website. I know you have a section of the testimonials, so it was very beautiful to read through those as well. When you talk about the success of these programs, how essential are the partnership with the schools, organizations, to obviously bringing these young people to the next level of success and leadership?
We can't do this work alone. You know, I think that each and every one of us needs to prioritize having conversations with young people so that they are equipped to build these healthy relationships. And we need to be in the places where young people are. So we need to be in middle schools. We need to be in high schools. We need to be in community-based settings. And having these partnerships with these organizations really gives us entrance to these places where young people are, so we can go where they are as expecting them to come to where we are.
Yeah, now, of course, when we talk about the success, there are a few things coming up, with February as well being Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. What is this open mic event? What can people expect on February 26th?
So this is probably arguably one of the most important months of the year in the day one calendar. It's Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And so every year we want to honor this by amplifying the voices of young people. And this year, as we've done in years past, we have an open mic event. It's at the Blue Stockings Cooperative in the Lower East Side. It's on Wednesday, February 26th, 6 p.m. All are welcome, and we're going to be featuring spoken word, poetry, prose that's all been written by young people, and it speaks on themes of liberation and love and connection. It's really both really high quality art and a really sort of vibrant, loving community event. So all are welcome. Come on, come all.
Yes, on February 26th.
February 26th, 6 p.m. Blue Stockings Cooperative in Manhattan, Lower East Side.
Amazing. Now, of course, also later on this year, if people want to join, there is also a gala. Talk to me a little bit about how that supports.
It's our fanciest event of the year. And while it is sort of like an elegant celebration of the work that we do, it's held every year, sort of in the spring. We're holding it this year, May 20th, 6 p.m. at Guastavino's, which is an iconic Manhattan celebration space. But what it does, it brings together a variety of Day One supporters to really learn more about the work that we've done this year, celebrate the successes, look sort of staunchly at the challenges that we have ahead of us, and work to raise the money that we need to do this essential life-affirming work, especially in a time like this when governmental funding is precarious at best. We look to have the support of individual donors so that this work can continue.
Yeah, obviously you've shared so many incredible resources, some upcoming events.
Yeah.
For our viewers watching, if they want to get involved, how can they go about connecting with Day One?
We are very active on social media. You can't be a youth serving organization unless you are very active on social media. So check out any of our social media handles at Day One NY. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're not really on Facebook. And we also have a really information-rich website that everyone's welcome to go to, explore all of the resources that we have there, learn more about Day One, and just stay connected to us. We want to be connected to as many young New Yorkers as possible.
Yeah. Now, Anne, of course, before we go, I am so interested too in what would be your advice. Obviously, when we talk about gender-based violence, dating abuse, it sometimes can be a taboo topic that people are afraid to talk about. What can families, children, young people, start doing now to start having those conversations?
And I think feel that discomfort and push through it anyway. I think just summon that up. And if you're coming from a place of gentleness, of love, and of deep investment in the well-being of young people in your life and people around you, just have the conversation, start it up. Ask people about what they think about dating. Ask people if they know what it feels like. What do you think it will feel like to be in a dating relationship where you feel heard, where you feel seen, where you feel cared for? Because a lot of us don't know, especially if we haven't been in a dating relationship before. We don't know what a healthy relationship looks like, feels like, sounds like. So start that conversation. And I think that people will be surprised at how receptive young people are to talking about this.
Yeah. Now, of course, obviously, like you mentioned, one thing is we can continue to talk about these conversations and these topics, to normalize it. There is also clinical services that people can look to, especially young people, to heal. What are those and how does that help?
Yes, we really recognize that that young people are deserving of having the access to the highest quality therapeutic services that they can get. And we offer those at Day One, but we offer them for free. We offer them in the language that they speak. We offer them from a clinician who looks like them and often shares their own survivorship and life experience. And if they were to pursue if they were to find a therapist sort of like in a private practice context, they should have access to the most cutting edge therapeutic interventions. And we offer those also as Day One because they're deserving of that as well. And so we use techniques like EMDR, which is a somatic intervention for trauma survivors. We use interventions like trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which is really designed to support the trauma symptoms, working to integrate those trauma symptoms into the lives of young people. We also use a lot of mindfulness practices and a lot of just real emphasis on building loving relationships.
Yeah. Now, of course, we touched on so many different things, and I continue to be inspired for more questions, but I guess to wrap up, what advice would you give? We talked about normalizing the topic, but what advice would you give young people seeking help?
I would give that if they're having any feelings of guilt, shame, or responsibility, to not ignore those feelings or sensations, but to know that should not keep them from seeking support. And this is true for someone who is partnered with someone who is causing them harm. But it's also equally true for someone who is in relationship and they know that they're harming that person. They deserve support as well, especially young people. So you might feel the shame, you might feel the guilt, you might feel the responsibility, but don't let that be a barrier for you reaching out because we are here and we're invested in your holistic well-being.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anne,
Thanks,
for joining
Jonathan.
us today. To learn more about their services, please go to their website at day1ny.org. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Open after this.